Hello and welcome to a new video. Today I want to talk about a tool that kind of replaced a tool that I was using in the past a lot. The tool from the past is called Workflowy. The tool that I'm using now is called Dynalist, and it's basically the same program but from different people and with different functionality, and there are a couple main and key differences that make it worthwhile the switch for me. About 2 years or so, I kind of reviewed the Workflowy tool for to-do list management, and the main thing that I loved about this was that it is heavily driven by keyboard shortcuts, and it's basically just a huge list of things that are written in a more or less way that is almost like you're writing in a text file, but it has special formatting for actually having to-do list items, and you can check them off and you can resort them with the keyboard shortcuts as well. So you can move things one line up and down just by hitting a couple shortcuts. However, what I didn't necessarily like with Workflowy was that specifically for the dark theme, for example, you have to upgrade to the premium version. Now granted, Dynalist has a premium version as well, and it's not completely free. However, it is free for everything that I need at this moment right now. So I'm just going to take you to the screen and show you a couple of the things that you can do with either of them, but mainly now with Dynalist. Now, the first thing that I want to point out is the difference in pricing. As you can see on the screen right now, upgrading Workflowy Pro would be $4.99 per month or $49 per year. And the pricing for Dynalist is either $0 or you can pay $7.99 per month if you pay a yearly subscription. Now, the main difference though is if you look into the why you should upgrade section, and that immediately shows the downsides for Workflowy in my opinion. There are a couple of them, but the main one is that the free plan is actually limited to 1,000 to-do items or list items per month. And I find that that's pretty much enough if I don't do as much brainstorming. However, it can happen very easily to actually reach those numbers if you have your projects and then you have subcategories and notes that you want to also attach to those things. And then the big one for me, why I was basically looking for an alternative, was that the fonts and themes are actually limited in Workflowy and you cannot choose the dark theme. And that's the big one that kind of brought me to this whole research frenzy. Now, going back to Dynalist, what you can see is you can have unlimited documents, move of items, internal linking, markdown, formatting, dates, tags, checklists, sharing and collaboration, export and import, and 5 bookmarks. And that's already some more stuff than you would get from Workflowy, specifically talking about dates, for example, which are really handy because in Dynalist, they actually show you how far away those dates are. So if something's coming up tomorrow, you actually will see a little bit of a highlighting color that brings that to the forefront. Then, of course, you have the premium plan, and that includes Google Calendar integration, capture to inbox, tag pane, recurring dates, unlimited bookmarks, and so on and so forth. So they are really helpful tools, specifically the custom date formats, as well as I think they have recurring dates. Yeah, there they are. So there's obviously a good reason why you might want to upgrade later on, but you can already get started with much more here than you would have with Workflowy. I'm not here to discuss whether or not it's okay that they copy each other. I don't even know which one was there first. I don't necessarily mind that because in the end, it is something that can happen in the world. It constantly happens outside of software that people just copy functionality and so on. But I think it's something that sparks innovation to actually make your product better in the long run. So customer choice is a powerful tool, and I think more options for the customer is also a great thing. Now, going into the actual functionality of what you can do with Dynalist and also what it is. The main thing that Dynalist is, it's a to-do list application. It is something that you can use for yourself and by yourself, but it's also something that you can use in partnership with other people. The whole ecosystem of Dynalist is basically that you have a browser version of this, then you have a Mac app, and I believe there's a Windows app as well, and then you also have an iOS app that you can use to update your list on the go. Generally speaking, the whole system is not necessarily the best at handling offline work, but it does definitely work. So you can also do new entries when you're offline, but it's not necessarily something that I would count on as much as I would, for example, with OmniFocus, which is another to-do list management tool where I can be very, very sure that it works offline. With the Dynalist, especially the iOS version, it's a so-so situation. However, for the work when you're online, it's an amazing tool specifically on the Mac because, of course, on the iPhone, you don't necessarily have access to all the shortcuts that you would have access to on a keyboard-driven device. But you can, of course, also use an external keyboard with your iPad or iPhone. Then you would have similar functionality. And I'm pretty sure that all of this is also true for Android. However, I'm not an Android user, so that's something that you would have to figure out for yourself. But diving back into the interface of Dynalist, as you can see right now on the screen, I have the dark theme activated already. And you can go into the settings up here, and then you can choose between different themes right here and then make your choice. I personally prefer the dark one because it is something that I just enjoy for less eye strain. Then we have the list density where you can see comfortable, cozy, and compact. And you can see in the background already when I do those things, it changes how much display space is used by every single item. And then you have more settings down here, which you can get into if you want. I'm going to, for now, focus on the functionality. Something that I find really helpful here is that they have something that I call shortcuts and formatting here in the menu. And once you open that, they actually show you everything that is possible and also the other shortcuts that you might want to use, as well as the formatting triggers. Now, what I want to show you here is all the different entries that you can make. And starting from the top here, we can do list items that are actually numbered. And if I actually add a fourth one here, then you can see that it actually continues with the numbering right here. And you can change that by simply going in here and say you want a numbering for the children. Then you, of course, have Markdown for formatting, which is basically just doing the star for bold. Then you have the underscore for italic, and so on. You can also have links. You can have dates, as I mentioned before, which are basically put into this exclamation point and then the brackets here. And what I said before, if you have a date like this one, then it is actually highlighted. Now, if I add the date for today, then what you can see is that it actually shows up as today. Now, if I add tomorrow, you can see that it shows up as tomorrow. However, if I add yesterday, then you can also see that it will turn red when it's already passed. So that I find really, really helpful for basically making sure that you can see those things when you go through your list and you have a highlighting. You can also add your time with this. So if I put, for example, 1400, then you can see this is 3 hours ago as of recording this video. And if I put something that's in the future, then you can see that it says in an hour, which is also very helpful. Now going down, this is also something that I want to show you, that you can put links like this with the Markdown formatting. However, you can also just put a URL and it automatically becomes a link when you are not actively editing the note. Then going down further, we have a main note and we also can have some subtext. This in this case is done by Shift-Enter, and then you switch between subtext and the main note itself. And then we can do the same thing with code as well. This is really something that I find pretty cool, because if you do some coding and you want to take some notes for something, or you have an idea that you might want to implement later, you can already write some stuff down here. You can also use this for a little bit more formatting. Just if you want to, for example, highlight some word here, you can also use that, even though it's not necessarily code, but it's just another highlight color. Another really cool thing that I find is that you can actually link to other items. And once you do that, it's basically just putting two brackets and then you start typing. And then you can see here, even code, I can now link to this item. And if I click this one, it actually jumps up there, which is not necessarily, oh, there we go. And it's going down this drill. Going further, we have hashtags and @mentions. These are basically just simplifications for searchability and filterability. So if I go in here and I click this hashtag, then I would see everything that has this hashtag. And of course, I want to go back now because that has basically no information. Then we have checklists, which is also kind of cool, which kind of shows if you have your purchases made or something like that. Personally, I don't necessarily use them because a normal checked item without a checklist works just the same. So if I check this, then it is just going to be grayed out as well. But maybe this is something that you find useful. One thing that the checklist does make easier is if you want to check this or mark this done on your phone, that may be interesting for a shopping list because you can actually just click the checkbox for marking it done, which on the phone you normally have to go into edit mode and click complete after that. Then we also have headlines, so we can actually have a headline, and you can have headlines in different sizes. This is achieved by either using the shortcut or again opening this menu here, and then you can just say this is a headline 1, 2, or 3. And then you also have highlight colors, which I find really nicely helpful because they fill the whole line, and that way it's a nice separator that you can use to make sure you know in which section you are. And of course, it can do much, much more. A couple of the other really cool, neat functionalities that I like using are the pluses here, where you can drill down into a specific to-do list, and you can already see that it also keeps track of this breadcrumb list at the top here, where I can basically just jump back to the previous openings. We also have an option for managing different types of lists, and you can see I have one for my daily routine or my daily work. I have video and story ideas for video productions that I want to do, and I can have folders as well where I can have other projects that I am working on but I might have on pause, or I have notes in there or something like that. We also have bookmarks. However, those are limited to 5 bookmarks in the free version of Dynalist. But if I wanted to go in and say Markdown for formatting is my one of my most interesting markers, then I can actually put a star next to it here, and then it would be in the bookmark section right there. And again, I don't necessarily use that often. I mostly use my one big list, and that's enough for my own liking. Overall, I just enjoy the fact that this has unlimited list items for you to choose and use. It has more formatting capabilities, it has the dark mode, and next to all of that, it also provides you with the ability to collaborate with people, but that is also something that Workflowy would support. So if you, for example, want to say, I want to share this example list, I can actually just right-click this and say manage sharing, and I can say share this document. And once I have clicked that, you can see I now can choose between public share link or a private share with other users. And what I can do then is I can either add someone to manage, edit, or view only this specific document. So if I want to have them manage the document, that would mean they can also invite other people. If they can edit the document, then they can only edit the internal items. And if they can only view the list, then it's obviously just for viewing, but I can specifically invite my collaborators. What I can also do is I click this little icon here, view the document with the public share, and then I can actually share this URL right here. And I can also say that other people can edit the document with only having this link. I'm not really sure what this would be useful for, to actually share something that openly with people and they can make their changes, but it might become handy if you need it. For me, I actually have used the view for public linking, specifically for my to-do lists for a live stream, for example. And I'm also using the share functionality to work with others on specific projects where we are collaborating on our to-do list. Overall, this is a tool that is really simple to use once you have a little bit of a grasp on these shortcuts. I want to show you a handful of them because I think this makes this functionality or this tool really unique, and it's really, really helpful. So if you are inside of this program and you are editing these items, you can not only make these things bold and not bold and do the formatting and stuff like that, but you can also indent and outdent, I don't know, move it from outside to inside and go back. So for example, if I go here and have the italic, I can just hit Shift and Tab and it actually moves down in place. This is a setting that you can change. It can either move down in place or move down and be attached to the last item, basically. I like it this way. And then if I move it back in, then all of the others are moved in as well. And you can also see I can change this for multiple items. So for example, if I actually hit the Shift button and then I hit the down arrow or up arrow, then you can actually mark multiple items, and with that I can indent those two items, and I can do the same thing again with Shift tab for outdenting and a normal tab for indenting. Then of course I can Command Enter, and that marks an item as a done item, and I can also use Command and the arrow up and down to move an item up and down. I can of course normally on a Mac Command and right and left goes from the line right and left. And the last one that I really like is Command Shift and Dot, which can make the whole item collapsed or uncollapsed. So those are a handful of really nice shortcuts that you can use to make use of Dynalist and all the different functionalities that this program provides. I think it's a really, really good alternative to Workflowy, again, with dark mode and the option to have unlimited items, as well as the date functionality, a couple more formatting add-ons, and so forth. I really enjoy using this, and I have been kind of switched to this for about 1 year or something like that. And so far, it's been a great, great tool. I definitely recommend using the iOS app and also the Mac app for this program, because that makes working with it a little easier, and you don't have multiple tabs in your browser, and you can just have the application itself. Now, I hope this video was helpful for you. If you liked it, please leave a like. If you have any thoughts, questions, or feedback, leave those things in the comments below. And of course, check out Dynalist, because I think that it's really a powerful tool, and it is something that has helped me stay organized, get organized, and also just have an external brain for those smaller thoughts available. So use this tool for your advantage, make the most out of it, and have an amazing day. Ciao, ciao.